When I was a little kid, I asked my grandpa, right behind that wagon, about 5 feet, there was a circle in the ground that was about 10 feet in diameter that was just burned red. And I asked Grandpa what that was for, or what caused that, and he said that it was before the Indians had camped and had their council fires for generations. The Indians who lived west of Idaho Falls in the lava tubes in the wintertime would follow the river up in the summertime on their way to the park. They would always camp right here on this hill. If all these buildings and trees weren't here, you would see that this is a high place for about 5 miles, and then you can see in any direction. And that's why the Indians felt that it was a safe place for their camps. And they must have spent a lot of time here. Grandpa said when they first broke up the land, they found hundreds of arrowheads, and we have found a lot of artifacts. In fact, we were playing with some last night on that table. I don't know what happened to them. Anyway, there was a lot of Indian activity here between here and the river. They came off of the river just a little bit for their safety, but that's where they had to go to get their water. A lot of people have asked why, and I have asked a lot of times, why they built their house here instead of down on the road, which would have been a smart thing to do. I found out later that the obvious answer is that there wasn't a road there. Otherwise, there's a pile of rocks right down here that said that that's the section line, but there wasn't any road, so this was probably just, they followed an Indian trail up here and built their cabin right behind that white garage. They built a fairly large cabin. It was made out of straight logs. They were probably got green timber because that's the closest really straight, good material here. Anyway, we think they came here about 1890. The history books say that the first residents of Marysville came here in 1889, and then later on, within a few years, this whole area was taken up. But they were some of the first settlers here and filed on this in 1892. However, they did not file their homestead until 1895. Had they filed in 1892, they would have had to go to either Malad or to Blackfoot to get their legal work done, because that was the county seat. But in 1893, the county Oneida was divided, and all of the counties in this area were included in that part. Anyway, we have a record in the house. There's an old book that was the tithing record that was left here by somebody over the years. In fact, the last thing Harold told me when he was here about our last reunion in 2013 was that I needed to get them in the church records. And if he was here today, I'd tell him we're working really hard to get them in here. But we haven't got it done yet. But anyway, it shows that Grandpa Taylor paid $5 in tithing on wheat that had to have been raised on this 5 acres right here below the house, because that was the first 5 acres they broke up. But can you imagine coming to a desolate place like this that was just sagebrush and being able to eke out a living and being able to survive? Just being able to survive was a miracle. But they did it, and they had a good time. According to those old church records, Mary Ann, Grandpa Taylor's wife, sang at a lot of parties, ceremonies, and in church. And on one occasion, Grandpa Taylor even sang on a program, and the song that he sang was, "I Wonder Where My Money Went." But as a polygamist having several wives, I don't think it was much of a problem. He didn't have enough money to worry about anyway. Anyway, this has been a sacred spot for a long time. In about 1918 or 19, President Horace A. Hess, who was the state president, told Grandpa, who was a good friend, that Grandpa needed to build a new house, a big house. And of course, Grandpa told him he didn't have any money. He didn't have enough money to build a house. And he said, "You get started." And the Lord will provide. That year they planted this 16 acres right here into seed peas. And it was before they had good water. Norman said that the water actually came in about 1920, but it was very hard. We had a lot of levees that weren't worth a darn, and but the rains came at exactly the right time. And when they went to harvest that crop of peas, it took 3 baggers on the thrashing machine to handle the output of that crop. And that crop paid for that house. Anyway, the other thing that happened when that house was finished was they made Grandpa the bishop. So apparently President Hess had ulterior motives all the time. He served as a bishop for 12 years. At the end of that 12 years, he had 3 daughters that were going to high school, and he wanted them to go to Rexburg rather than out here because it was so hard to get back and forth to school. And so they moved to Rexburg that winter, and he was released as a bishop at that time. Then when he came back the next spring and started to plant the crop, they called him in and set him apart as a patriarch. And he served as a patriarch from then until the time he passed away in 1945. As a result, an awful lot of people came through that parlor to get their patriarchal blessings during that many years. So this was sacred ground to a lot of people. Excuse me. We have with us today James Johnson and Cheryl O'Brien from the State Historical Society. They are going to, I don't know what they're going to do. I didn't ask you. Turn the time over to Jim Johnson. But, anyway, I was going to tell you a little bit about how they built that house. They hauled the sand, and they, being Grandpa and I don't know who all, hauled that sand from Sand Creek west of Ashton. And I don't know how many miles that is, Doug. How far would that be? 5, 6 miles? I don't know how far it was. But anyway, they built the bricks at a warehouse in Ashton, and you'll notice the top row and the bottom row have ropes in them, so it looks like that the whole house is bound together, top and bottom with rope. It's very unique. I've never seen anything like it. Come to find out, I've never seen anything like it in a lot of things. But anyway, they brought those bricks out here, and it was put together. The man who built it was Gus Nordell. Gus Nordell lived in the Mauer Canyon over here 2 miles up the river. One day Grandpa got on to him probably about this time of year, and he says, "Gus, you don't get here till 10:30. You leave at 4:30. There's no way you're going to get this house done this winter." And Gus said, "Well, Gabe, I have to get up in the morning and milk my cow, do my chores, harness up my team, and ford the river, and I just can't get here any quicker." So Grandpa said, "Why don't you bring your wife and your cows and whatever you have and bring them over here and put them in our corral. We'll pitch a tent for you right outside where those cars are parked, and you can stay with us. And they did that. They did that, and that's how that place was finished that year. Grandma was watching him one day, and apparently he spit tobacco, and he was spitting in the mortar between those bricks, and Grandma really got on to him about desecrating those nice bricks. Anyway, Gus promised to quit until she got out of sight, but I'm sure that's just how he made his mortar. Anyway, the house was really finished in 1920, but they didn't move in until 1921. So the birthday party we're celebrating, and the big 100 over here represents the actual building of the house and the time when they moved in. So it's been a beautiful place ever since. I'll turn the time over now to Brother Johnson.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm honored to be here, especially here with Dr. Cheryl O'Brien. She's the trustee for the Idaho State Historical Society for this part of Idaho. She's new on our board, and so the director of the department, Historical Society, asked me, an experienced trustee, to come and show her how to do it. She could do it much better without me, I'm sure, but it's a privilege to be here. There are some interesting things about century farms and century ranches that you should be made aware of. The program itself started in 1937 on a national basis. At the present time, there are 43 states that offer a century farm or century ranch award. We've been doing it in Idaho since 1990, and we've presented about 450 of these awards in the state of Idaho. This is the first one in Fremont County, so we're really happy for you. My wife is here with me, and she said, be sure you tell them this is the largest crowd we've ever had at one of these. But it's not. No, it's not. It's not. We were down by Malad, and there was a crowd about like this group right here. We just had lunch, and we were getting along really good. And I was thinking, my, this is a nice crowd. And then 250 head of cattle came right by. And they stood right there and listened to my speech. So you're number 2. This program was created to recognize the importance of agriculture in the state of Idaho. And we've been very pleased to recognize a number of farms and ranches. And every story is just a little bit different, but almost all of them deal with sacrifice and the hardships of bringing this rough country into subjugation. So it's really good. The Idaho State Historical Society, which Cheryl and I represent, has a responsibility to preserve history and to make sure that people are aware of the great traditions in our state. It's the Idaho State Historical Society and the Department of Agriculture that are pleased to recognize the Hillam Hilltop Farm as an Idaho Century Farm, so designated on this plaque. I'm going to hold that up so everyone can see what we've got.
Yay!
We have here, Cheryl, do you want to make that presentation? We have a signed certificate.
Say what you want to say. She's got a doctorate. She's plugged in to speak
for 60 minutes.
Oh, thank you kindly, Jim. Yes. It is certainly, Jim is correct, that it is our honor and privilege to be here with you to celebrate this great occasion. Thank you so much for including us in this. Can't think of a better way to send a gorgeous Saturday afternoon under the Tetons. Thank you so much. So we do have a signed certificate we'd like to present. It is signed by Jan Gallimore. She is Executive Director for the Idaho State Historical Society. Cecilia Gould, who is the Director of the Idaho State Department of Agriculture, and the Governor, Brad Little. So please, on behalf of all your extended family, Rulon, please accept this certificate from us, from the Idaho State Historical Society and the state of Idaho.
Woo! Very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Now, we've got some other things here that we want to do. I'm good friends with Senator Risch, and he wanted you to have this. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Hillam, congratulations to the Hillam Hilltop Farm on receiving the Idaho Century Farm designation from the Idaho State Historical Society and the Idaho Department of Agriculture. Sustaining a working farm through so many generations is exciting and commendable. Your family's continued operation of the Hillam Hilltop Farm is a great example of the dedication, determination, and stewardship that has been demonstrated by Idaho farmers for more than 100 years. Your care for the land shows a commitment to future generations while you use its resources for the needs of today. This award is a testament to your vision and hard work, and your family is deserving of this honor. Again, congratulations. Vicki joins me in wishing you all the best in the next 100 years. Very truly yours, James E. Risch, United States Senator. Marlene, would you like to come up and get some of this recognition? I mean, you're the heart and soul of this organization. Marlene, this one that I have is sealed. I don't even know what's in here. And so it may be a booby prize, or it could be something else, but I'm going to let you open that and tell us what we've got in there. Oh, it's a letter from Celia Gould, the Director of the Department of Agriculture. You want me to read that to everybody, or do you want to? Okay. Dear Roland and Marlene, on behalf of the Idaho State Department of Agriculture, I send congratulations to you on being honored by the Idaho Century Farm and Ranch Program as a Century Farm owner. You can take pride in the contributions your family has made to the history and prosperity of agriculture in the state of Idaho. Thank you for keeping our ag industry strong and our ag heritage rich. The work you have put into your family operation for so many years is an admirable model for other farm owners to follow. Like yourself, I'm an owner-operator of a generational farm and ranch operation. I cannot imagine life in Idaho without farming, and the ranching, unfortunately, don't have to. Agriculture will always be essential to our state. It will be part of my life as it is part of yours. With longtime family operations, the industry remains dynamic and carries traditions forward into the future. The Hillam Hilltop Farm has preserved throughout the years. May you have many more years of success ahead. Thank you for your dedication to Idaho agriculture. I wish you only the best. Sincerely, Celia R. Gould, Director, Idaho State Department of Agriculture.
I don't know what to say, just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's great. It is an honor for us to be here. I had the privilege of reviewing the Century Farm application, and this was put together with love, and I've learned a lot about your family from this application. Congratulations to you and to this wonderful family that you've brought together. May the Lord bless you in all you're doing, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.